I want to see the best of the best compete, no excuses. Enter O'Malley, he fights one ranked guy, gets a title shot. Now, for me, as a competitor, I can never respect that as a man. As a competitor, it's just like it's like the Jake Paul route, stacking the deck so that you get these highlights or you get these favorable matchups and these wins to look as good as you do. He should have fought Merab first before fighting Cheeto, and Cheeto should have been able to fight someone and then win to prove he was deserving. Dana's, for me, he's always been a nice, respectable guy, but when it comes to business, I know I'm not his cash cow. So if he could put someone else in the driver's seat to get his business to where he wants to be, he's gonna do that. I always thought I was so small for featherweight. And then when I asked all these guys what they weighed, and then I did the UFC testing at the PI, and I saw my fat-free mass, it was like, I think it was a 142 or 141. So you're telling me for the past 5X amount of years plus, I've been just killing myself to get to 135, 136.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Verse Us with Eric Nixick. He is Eric Nixick. I'm Randy Fainrich, and this is Verse Us. And today, we have a very special guest. We are joined by the former UFC bantamweight champion, current UFC featherweight contender, real estate extraordinaire, and Funk Harbor founder, Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? I feel like there's going to be an applause button.
Yeah.
Cheers. That's all we got. That's all we got.
That's it.
Cheers.
I'll
Sunday
take
fun day.
it.
Cheers.
I'll take it.
All right, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. Just gearing up, getting ready for Utah.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we saw your fight just got announced. Are you already? How's that work from an athlete standpoint? Like, are you already in camp? You never really got out of camp. How's it work right now?
I'm in camp, but we've been training a little bit beforehand, just to kind of. I call it like a jump camp, pre-camp kind of thing, just to kind of get ready before you get into camp. 8 weeks is typically what most people try to do for 3 rounds. This way you're not jumping right in, and next thing you know, you get all hurt and tweaked, so you're not coming in just like right off the couch.
Right.
But I usually train year-round anyway, except when I'm like on vacation. I do a little different kind of training.
Yeah.
You know?
He's already sparring. He had good rounds this week with Jeremy Kennedy.
Oh, nice.
So he's already in the
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So you, for your camps, do you come back to Vegas and then you do a full camp in Vegas, or you kind of split between both, or where are you at right now? Just.
It really depends on where the fight's going to be. If it's going to be on the East Coast, then it makes sense to start in Vegas, then finish in New York. If it's going to be here, like we're going to be fighting at elevation, which I think Salt Lake is like 4,300 feet. Vegas is about 2,000. Mm-hmm. So this is more ideal than fighting at sea level training at sea level back in New York.
Right. I want to talk about your fight and everything you have going on in a minute, but I kind of wanted to start with last night's fights. UFC 305, Izzy, DDP, Dan Hooker, Gamrot, all Kai Kara France. With the main event, I know you love watching fights, breaking them down, things like that. We were just kind of talking off camera about Dricus and how he somehow just keeps finding a way to win. What were your thoughts on kind of the main event last night?
There's a couple things. For me, it looked like Father Time caught up to Izzy a little bit. He looked a little bit slower. Like if you watched his reflexes, his reactions, even when he's circling, going laterally, didn't look as crisp and as clean as it did when he first came onto the scene. And, like, of course, we know the competition wasn't as high. Mm-hmm. But even when he fought Robert Whittaker, he fought him twice, Yoel Romero, all those guys, he just didn't look like the same Izzy, like, from a physical standpoint. Like, yeah, he looked more muscular because he put on some good muscle in between the downtime that he had from the last fight. But he looked slower. His reaction time, like, don't get me wrong, DDP is good. He might fight extremely ugly, but it's effective. It works for him. Yeah. But he is one of these slower guys in terms of, like, speed. Like, if we're just measuring speed, he's not the fastest puncher. So when he was getting hit, I'm like, you got out of the way of Robert Whittaker, but you can't get out of the way of DDP, who's literally just dumping punches at you. I don't know. That was a little bit odd. And when he turned away, and I was like, this just doesn't look like the same Izzy. So I don't know.
Do you think, though, I asked Eric this too, do you think, because they made a lot about his physique and he looked more muscular and he put on some weight. Do you think that had an effect on the way he fought? Because to me, he looked exhausted after 2 rounds. Like that third round, he won the third, I think, on my scorecard, but he looked tired. Do you think that like, because you just moved up recently, obviously you put on weight in a different way. Like, does that, I don't know, what kind of effect do you think that had on him?
Well, for me, I'm walking around the same weight I did at 35. I was just always
He's a big fucking
Just
35.
a thick guy.
Yeah, but he definitely looked exhausted. But I do think because of the buildup, all the animosity, I mean, white, black, Africa, who's really African, the press conference, him crying, like there's a whole lot of emotional buildup. And then you're finally there in the octagon, and it's just like it comes crashing down. So I could feel for him in that moment, it's almost like a release, but not the one that he needed, where he needed to stay up so that he could react the way he wanted to react. But it just looked like he zapped himself relatively early. And I thought he had a great first round. I think he got taken down the first round too, right? Like towards the end.
Yeah, I think towards the end. But
He got up a couple times.
yeah, I had Izzy winning.
Round 1, right?
I had Izzy winning going into round 4. I had him up 2 rounds.
I had him
Yeah.
up one. I had him winning 1 and 3.
1 and 3.
Yeah, 1 and 3.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I think depending on what the judge is looking at, I can see how you can give round 1 to Dricus, because Dricus had a little bit more power shots. Those are landing a little bit more clean. I thought Izzy started to get off, but you're right. Like, I was texting with Spencer Kite, and I was like, dude, Izzy's getting his timing and his range, especially with the body work. And I text Spencer, I'm like, I could see Izzy getting a finish here in round 4, and I was wrong. It was the other way around,
Yeah.
What were your kind of thoughts overall, just from beginning to end? Because we haven't really talked about that yet.
It was. I mean, I thought Izzy did a great job of maintaining distance with the teeps. We talked about that I felt that Sean got away from that in our fight. That was going to help negate some of that forward pressure, that juggernaut step throughs and everything else. When you just teep somebody down the middle, that whole thing just ends that.
How does that work?
I don't know, bro. Like,
Why does that work?
It's beyond me. It is absolutely beyond me. And I think a lot of it's a timing thing, right? So we were talking before the show how Izzy's the style of fighter that can slide in, you as well, can slide in and out of both stances. When a forward attack is coming, you don't want to move straight backwards. Right. You're either going to run into the fence or you're going to run into one of those looping overhands. But if you can stance switch and get off that center, I didn't see him do that last night. I was kind of surprised, What's up, guys? Thank you for watching the show. I appreciate all the comments, all the love, all the support. But if there's anything we can do better, if there's guests you want to see coming on, let us know. Put it in the comments. Tell us what we can do. Now, back to the show.
Even like the Costa fight.
Yeah.
That's another one. Like a big, powerful guy.
So weird to me, man. I made the analogy, like I said earlier. Dricus is just like a gnat at a barbecue. Like, he just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You hit him. He has those weird, awkward, entries.
He's a booger.
Yeah.
He's a booger.
He really is.
He's the Jay Heron epitome of what a booger's like.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, like, you don't have people in the gym that can train like him or give you that type of look, right? I remember when Brad was fighting Elias Theodoro, and I was Elias for the camp. And I was throwing the weirdest shit at Brad, double fucking punches, because, that's what this guy does. And legit, I was sparring Brad one time, I did a double punch at Brad. Brad's like, what the fuck was that? Yeah. And in the fight, Elias Theodore did that to Brad. Brad, looks over at me, later on. He's like, I was like, see? You just got to be the booger, bro. Yeah. And that's so hard to prepare for. There's no one that can emulate that, because but I'll tell you what, the guy's got heart, and the guy's tough as shit, man. You can't take that away from Dricus.
Yeah.
I miss Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. What else was on the card? Hooker and Gamrot was fun, huh? That was a really fun fight.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week. That was our upset pick.
I thought Gamrot should have gotten the nod, though.
It was close.
It was a close fight,
Yeah.
but I just felt, I don't know. I mean, maybe I got to watch it again, but I just felt like Gamrot did enough to win, except when he was in those positions getting elbowed to death. I was like, oh, bro, you got to move.
Yeah.
Sure, but what's always going to be that swaying factor is the hometown crowd. They're going to ooze and ahs, and a judge is not supposed to, right? But you cannot tell me that doesn't play an effect when you hear that energy, right? And I'll say what Hooker did. We wouldn't coach it this way. In some of those wrestling positions, you want to wrestle first and not throw strikes. But Hooker was heavy on the head, would put the head down and would land 3, 4, 5 good elbows and hit the body and do some things where a judge is looking at as scoring criteria. okay, if Gamrot takes him down and doesn't take that damage back away, then you have to give it to Hooker in those instances, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100%.
You think the crowd played a factor in Tai Tuivasa getting a 30-27 scorecard?
Who does that?
But even like the Calabal fight with Ricardo Ramos,
Right.
He got the
Josh Kudabao.
yeah, he got a decision, which I thought was like, he's no way he's gonna win a close fight here with this guy, and he wins. That's why it's like you just never know, man.
Yeah.
You would think like hometown advantage. I would think,
Right.
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah, but go back to Tai. How?
Bro, that's the worst
That's
scorecard that I've seen ever. Like, ever.
And thankfully, the right
Because,
guy won.
bro, 30-20, like,
What fight?
Holy
what
fuck,
round,
dude. He did not win a
what
round.
Could you give him?
exactly.
That you can make an argument to give Tai.
Yeah.
And I love Tai.
Same.
But how can you make that argument that this guy won? Which round? Tell me.
Yeah.
Let alone all three.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about it to see, they go, yo, dude, your night's over.
Yeah.
The fuck out of here. Thank you. Don't allow this dude to dictate or ruin somebody else's night later on down the line, you know? So good for them. They removed that guy right away with that scorecard.
the judge, yeah,
The judge, yeah. Have a good night, dude.
That was fucking crazy.
you had one too many, sir.
Yeah, see you never.
I feel for Ty. He's such a fan favorite and a character.
Yeah.
But man, he can't put it together. He's not fighting bums, but he can't get a win.
It's
man.
like, but who can you give him? You know what I mean? Like your
that
ranks,
was
you're
the
up
guy
there.
to give him,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
a
striker.
banger, a striker, yeah.
You know,
He just never really found like he found his flow. He just felt a little off.
he started kicking a little bit.
Yeah.
You talked about that, and then he kind of got away from it.
No setup.
Yep.
All naked, missing, and a guy the caliber of Jairzinho.
Yeah.
My boy's a scrapper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put him in the bare
Anything
knuckle.
jump off to you last night that you were surprised about?
Surprise! Casey O'Neill. I was actually very impressed. She looked good.
Yeah.
I Santos has been on. She's been on one, so I was like, maybe this is like the passing of the guard right here, and she turned her back. So I was very surprised with that. And if there is another surprise, Kai Kara France.
Yeah.
I didn't think the fight was gonna go like that.
Yeah.
That was. Don't blink for a reason. Don't blink.
Yeah.
Literally came with that left hand right behind the right and
Yeah.
right on the chin and sat him down.
Step over brow.
Shit.
Yeah.
Step over.
Yeah.
Rolled the
I think
hook.
that goes to what you guys were talking about earlier in terms of you can't just step back and move your chin back. You have to
Right.
step off. Because Ereceg did that, because Kai did those rushes a couple times, right?
Right.
In the first round. And Ereceg would just move straight back, it looked like to me.
Yeah, it was tailor-made for that. We call it a brow. It's tailor-made
Yeah.
for that roll-through because his lead hand hook was what Kai was kind of rolling under.
Yeah.
And, it's just like hitting that slip line. He rolled that head under and stepped through all the way to the other stance.
Yeah.
Overhand landed clean and put him out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of momentum when you're going through that, rolling your head through and creating the inertia to throw that other overhand. Caught him on the way out.
Yeah.
It was nice.
I'm still impressed with Ereceg, even with the loss. His footwork is super slick. His boxing is super slick.
Yeah, it's
he's
clean.
he's an impressive guy. I mean, he got caught,
You would think that's
whatever.
a world champion would look like.
Exactly.
But then you have guys like DDP, respectfully. It's funny because I did my podcast earlier too, and then I was like, I know people make fun of my striking as well. They say it's not practical, but it works for me.
Yeah.
And the same thing. I'm looking at DDP. I'm like, I just watch it. I'm like, is this what people think about me when they watch me versus
don't
this?
see
Because
that,
I'm
though,
watching
bro.
this,
Like-
I'm
like,
like,
I
that
mean,
is just.
Maybe because I've held paddistry for a long time now, but I get your traps
Yeah.
and what you're trying to accomplish with your game. So I see that in your style, it blends well with even your fit-ins and everything else. So I don't think you have this. Oh, look at Aljo striking.
Also, from an outsider's perspective, you move your feet and slide correctly when you're throwing those strikes and moving forward.
Yeah.
DDP, I don't know if you ever seen those cartoons where someone starts to run real quick that's how I feel he throws his combinations. He just and I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, but
It's just funny.
It's
so funny.
he has to get his momentum going before me as someone who's never fought, I can see when he's about to blitz.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it. And whereas you or other people that do blitzes, Kai last night, whatever, you move your feet in a certain way
Right.
to like throw those punches. Maybe they look whatever, but like
He's like
he
that
just,
puppy with the big old, or that fucking baby
I
giraffe.
want to say it's like Barney Rubble type, like he's just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
or like Fred Flintstone right before he bowls, like
yeah,
the
yeah.
twinkles, like yes, like that's what I see. And as someone who's never fought, like if I can see it coming, it feels weird that someone like Izzy can't
Right.
Yeah.
or can't get out the way at least.
That's
You
what I
know?
was saying. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm literally watching. I'm like, here it comes.
Yeah.
Here it comes. There it is.
Yeah.
The thumper.
Right, and his punches, when you throw, your punches are straight when you're moving forward. Kai, straight hook. His are like almost speed bag-esque. Like they're just like, they come from like this weird angle, almost like a shovel, right?
Yeah.
Like a.
But again,
It
it's so
works.
hard to prepare
Yeah.
for.
It works.
Right?
It's so
hard
crazy,
to
man.
prepare for, guys.
The
It's
man
like, dude,
can't
who
be
do you
stopped
have?
right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
honestly. Man, wow. Yeah. Anything else outside on that card? We could put that to bed. But anything else that
No,
surprised either of you?
I thought top to bottom, really good card.
Yeah.
That was a really good card. And
Yeah.
you know, right away it puts us in a position to where hopefully maybe we get a fight December, early January again. Get that
Oh yeah, with
rematch.
Sean.
Yeah, with Sean.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
They're not going to turn him around in 3.5 months?
I don't know about that.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Right.
Bro.
They might like him.
Speak on it.
They might like
yeah,
him.
please speak
Speak on it.
They might actually like him and want to give him proper time to prepare. But
Okay.
that's, yeah.
I want to. Can we? I kind of want to
Have a
dive
sip.
in. Yeah, let's take a sip. So I want to dive into something. We'll get to that exact turnaround, but I want to dive into something before that. How do I start this?
Oh boy.
Just jump.
No, because I want to talk about a few different things. But I want to ask, I guess, just off the top, like, why do you think you get so much hate? Like, and I mean that not just from fans, but
Why
it
are
feels
you
like the
gay?
company. You are gay.
So you are gay.
Yeah, you are gay. Who said I'm gay? I want to ask, why do you think that? Because it's not just the fans. Like, clearly, the company, you know, there's like a disrespect factor there at some point in your career over the last few fights, despite everything you've done. And I'm curious. I want to start there. Why do you think you get so much hate?
Well, with the company, I'm going to say probably when my first contract was up, I went 4-0. I had 3 finishes in a row. You know, I did what I was supposed to do. And the last 3 fights of my contract, 3 finishes. And we were renegotiating. And I think maybe that kind of ruffled some feathers a little bit since back then. That was in like 2015, going 2016.
That's what happened, Francis.
And that's when Sage Northcutt was like the next big thing. But he just got signed. His first fight, he made 40-40. My first fight, I made 8-8. I was like, dude, I finished 3 guys in a row. 3 of them were ranked. Mizugaki, my third fight, he was ranked 6th. And then I fought Johnny Eduardo. I think he was ranked 9th at the time. And remember, this is my 4th fight in the company, my 3rd and my 4th. So for me to do that, I'm like, well, I think I earned at least a little bump up to at least match a kid with a great physique. And I don't know, he didn't have a funny accent.
White.
Yeah, cool.
I'll say it.
Like,
I'll say it.
You can say it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it.
I'll say it for you.
But I didn't see a difference between us. I'm like, well, I'm finishing top level guys. I talk shit. You know, it's not like malicious shit talk. It was just always like banter,
You were
Long
a
Island
character
banter.
too. High top fade, got the chain,
Yeah.
got the like. That's what you want to build off of.
Yeah.
You
So the money I was offered was like half of his, which was just like I'm not really understanding the disconnect here. Like at least explain to me so I can understand. So I think that was like part of it. But whatever. I lost my next 2 fights on my new deal anyway, both by split decision. So I thought I was about to get cut. But then fast forward, you know, I've always been wrestling heavy, and then with the title fight with the fans, winning the belt by DQ, I had a bad rehydration. I had a phenomenal camp. I had a terrible rehydration. I miscalculated the time I was fighting from when I normally fight, because now I'm the co-main event, where I normally fight early in the prelims. I'm like, okay, I eat just enough. So I didn't put enough fuel back in my body, and I fought like shit. I didn't tell nobody because I didn't want anyone to freak out, but maybe I should have. And I had a shitty fight, but I didn't quit. I won by
Well,
DQ.
hold on. You didn't have a shitty fight.
Yeah.
You had a shitty turn where you won round 1 and you were doing great things. You had a great pace.
Yeah.
But then, of course, yes, the rehydration side
But
of things.
it was a shitty fight in the sense of like, as for me, knowing how I normally
Yeah.
compete,
Yeah.
Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, Cody Stamen, Brett Johns, the pace I bring to the octagon compared to what I did against Jan, even to Corey Sandhagen, like that was night and day, not the same person. And everyone who finally was introduced to me, that was the first time they ever saw me fight. And that was their first introduction.
That
He's
was
an
the
actor.
platform.
I'm like, come on, give me a break. This is, go look at all my other fights.
Right.
They're not like that.
Yeah.
I don't get tired. So that was a very poor showing in the sense of output. Like I push as much as I can, but there was nothing on the punches. It was just trying to stay in there because I'm in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm never going to get another title shot. I fucked up bad. But whatever. The knee ended up being a blessing in disguise and gave me an opportunity to do it again. And I felt Jan was more prepared the second time. As badly as I came in, like depleted, he came in the second time way more prepared, and I fought a tougher Jan, and I beat him.
First Jan fight, I think, really gave us more of a blueprint, too, for the second fight to help understand how. But like he said, dude, his first camp with Jan, he trained his ass off.
Yeah.
And, like,
Dude, I was
it looked
ready, dude.
incredible,
I was like,
bro.
I'm going to blitzkrieg this motherfucker
Yeah.
round 1, guaranteed. That's how confident I was.
Yeah.
And then after the fight went the way it did, like I go back home, I hear doubts from like my coaches, my teammates, and it was a little weird because it almost came off like they didn't believe what I was saying. I was like, dude, you guys know me. I don't lie. I don't need a lie. Like if I felt like the guy was better, I would tell you because I want to beat him. But if I'm telling you that was my worst day and he had a hard time taking me all the way to round 4, the end of round 4, on my worst day, I'm like, what happens on my good day?
Can can we talk about that knee and the aftermath of that? Because, Eric and I are cool.
Yeah.
We're close. He shared stories with me, and I think there's things that, it sucks, like the way people have portrayed this whole thing and how this went down. Like you were acting and all this stuff, and I think it was perpetuated by, Henry and a future opponent trying to get, and all this stuff, and it kept going and going. But can we talk about like the actuality of that, of the effect of that, and like what was going on after that fight, and going to the hospital and things of that nature? Because I think people need to like really have. I know you've talked about it a million times, but I think there are parts of the story that haven't been
But
told.
we've never actually talked about it like me and him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
And
I mean, there's a lot
parts
of behind the scenes that,
and I would like to dive into that a little bit because it's not right. Twitter is Twitter. People are going to say what they want to say.
Yeah.
But there were actual things that went down, well-being that was at stake, visits to the hospital, car trips. Like, I just think those things maybe need to be discussed. And I know you've talked about it a lot, but I would love for you to share, both of you, to kind of share just a little bit about that in more detail.
So fight's over.
Yeah.
And essentially, like, I remember them saying right away, we're going to take him to the hospital. And then they asked you, can you do the interview? I remember that part. You remember that at the end of the fight? Like, can you talk? Or after? And he was like, yeah, I think, I'm going to go speak about it. And I think that's what people were like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But no, I with the interview, I just wanted to apologize. Like, that it was such a shit. Like, for me, knowing what I'm capable of and what I've put in the work to do, the amount of rounds, and then to go out there and have that type of showing, I was just like, I want to at least apologize for just fucking up the rehydration of that day, whatever, because it was the biggest moment of my career, and for me to do that, it was just like, how did I let that happen? Such a small thing that just became such a catastrophic snowball effect. Yeah. And then we went to the hospital. I don't remember like getting in the ambulance or whatever, but we get to the hospital. I know I texted Dana after the scan, and I was like, I want to fight this motherfucker as soon as I can. And he was just, I think he just wrote like done. I'm like, what do you think? Do you think I'm gonna like? Ain't no way I'm gonna let this guy kick my ass on international TV like that. Up in like where I'm from, we just don't let shit like that slide. Like I gotta try to get my licks back somehow, some way. Like he beat me up in that octagon. I was just like, whatever you do, you don't quit. You take your ass whooping like a man. You hold your head high. you come back. Because I'm thinking, like, I'm on my way to losing. Like, I could see the writing on the wall. But when that happened, I'm like, this dirty motherfucker. So when it all came to me, it's like, oh, I actually have an opportunity to do this better, to do it the right way. And that's what I was most happy about. But I got the CAT scan. So Dana, I think he talked about it later in hindsight. Like, later on when I checked it, he said, like, there was nothing wrong with me. But CAT scans don't show concussions. Right. So everyone was like, oh, you were faking. I'm like, no, I got a CAT scan to see if there was bleeding on my brain. That's what the CAT scan is for. But yeah, get back to the house. I threw up a little bit in the bathroom. A whole bunch of people were there from Long Island, from all over, that came to visit me, and it was just a bittersweet moment. Merab is like taking the belt out the thing, because I didn't even see the belt. I didn't even know the belt came back to the house.
Well, I had it.
Yeah, so you were telling me that, and they showed it to me, and so I was actually like, oh shit, this is actually like, for me, this is like surreal. I'm like, I actually have the belt in the most weirdest circumstances, but I actually have the belt. And Merab is like, brother, you train so hard. One of my best friends is like, same thing, Enoch Maurice, you train so hard. Just, enjoy, just say it. You're a champion, you're a champion. I was like, I didn't want to say it, but I'm like, yeah, I guess I am a UFC champion, even if it's by DQ. Default, yeah. But
like, so let's go to the knee portion from my vantage point, right? Mark Smith literally says 3 times, he's down, and the knee goes boom and hits him square on the head. So of course myself and Longo were like, yo, and then I wasn't in there, I didn't get kneed in the head, but it was a fucking hard ass knee to the head from our vantage point.
Yep.
So Ray and I are having this conversation amongst each other, and Ray looks at me and he goes, I don't know if I let this fight continue, even if they allow it to continue. Like, I don't know how much damage he's taken off that knee. And I'm like, man, I'm with you. You're the head coach. It's your call. Whatever you decide, I got your back. And then obviously it ended up being a DQ, and that was that. So this is COVID era, right? There wasn't like the team gets to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I said to Ray, I'll go to the hospital with them. I'll sit, and I had to sit in the fucking parking lot, right? You didn't get to sit in the waiting room. This is COVID era. So I get a text from him or whoever was kind of there, one of the nurses or UFC personnel. Hey, he's ready. You can come around the back. You can pick him up. We get in the car, and 30-minute ride home. And this is why I know from a personal level that this dude wasn't faking. 30 minutes of him asking round after round after round. I say this because guys that I know that have been knocked out or have had head trauma have asked the same questions. What happened in round 1? What happened in round 2? Going through everything in their head. So we ran through the entire fight, 20-minute ride home, and then we're about 10 minutes to the house, and he looks at me, he's like, dude, what do I do now? Like, there's a house full of people I'm about to pull up, and I go, listen, dude, these people all flew out to here to be here with you to celebrate this moment for you, win or lose, as a support system. I was like, get in the house, fucking hold up a bottle or hold up a glass and celebrate your family and the people that are here for you. That was the exact conversation that we had. You remember any of that shit? Yeah.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing, people were pissed off. They thought I was like celebrating and drinking.
Yeah.
We literally had everyone, like, after everyone was forcing me to, like, yo, hold the belt, hold the belt. Held the belt finally. They took a picture and they used that. And Jan took that to run, oh, he was faking and he's out drinking, partying. I was like, 1, I wasn't drinking. 2, I wasn't partying. I'm there with my family and my friends and the confines of my house. And I just fucking threw up in the bathroom. So SMD, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean?
But
so
legit, everybody's staying at his house. They're all watching the fights there.
Right.
This wasn't at T-Mobile.
Right.
So
here it's COVID.
It was
so
COVID.
No one could go anywhere.
So no one can go. So where he has to go from the hospital to home, there's 30 fucking people at his house waiting for him to arrive.
Right.
So the circumstances, people need to understand the circumstances. And we literally were prepping for this the moment he walked in the door. Hey, dude, everybody's going to be happy to see you. Whether you feel like you won or not, just give the love to the people that gave you the energy and the attention that you needed. Not only for this fight week, but for your entire life.
Yeah.
Like, they've been there for you. So celebrate them, not necessarily the victory, right? And that's what happened. He walked in and people were giving him love, and he held up a glass of champagne, didn't drink it, and that's what ends up going viral.
Fans are so whack. Even if you wanted to, like, you got to the pinnacle. You might not have got the belt in the way you wanted to do it, but, like, how many people get that opportunity? You know what I mean?
But you can't say anything anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
After the next fight. But bro, how long do we have clown faces on our fucking Instagram?
Yeah.
Anything I posted, I had people
Clown
telling
face.
me, for PR, I think it's just best if you just don't post anything and just stay
Fuck that.
under hiding until I'm like, well, this is why I'm not fucking you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the way you do. I do things my way. If people want to sit there and talk shit, let them talk shit.
Right.
I'm going to have the last laugh.
And so, like, and you did. Like, that's my point. Back to, like, why do you think you get so much hate? Because then you go and you beat Jan, you beat TJ.
And neck surgery.
And yes.
And
you
neck
had
surgery.
neck surgery in between the first and second Jan fight, or Jan and TJ? Who was it?
First and second Jan fight.
First and second Jan fight. And what was the surgery exactly?
C6, C7, what do you call it? Artificial disc replacement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so the first camp,
Chronic pain.
right. So let me explain that, like, how we worked. He would text me in the morning how he felt, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Not good.
I can't feel my fucking fingertips. All right, well, we're not going to do this today. We're going to do this instead.
Was it like nerve shooting pain, or like was it
Nerve
just like
down
a
my left
numbness
arm, yeah.
down your left side?
Yeah.
So we would call audibles on what we were going to do that day, depending on how his neck was. And we got great work in, but it was just legit like, how do you feel today? Dude, I feel like shit, or I feel great, or I feel this, or okay, here's what we'll do. And then we would run fucking practices on literally how his arm felt.
Yeah. Damn. But yeah, so you go and you beat Jan convincingly. Like, I don't think people can really argue whether they say 3-2 or 4-1. You still won the fight. Finished TJ, beat Henry. Why do you think you're still not getting, after that, those 3 or 4 in a row? Like, well, again, why do you think? And we'll get to the Sean fight in a second. But
I think they just don't want to admit the fact that they were wrong about me.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, they just don't want to admit the fact that they were wrong about me, and they have to find some excuse to validate their opinions to make them feel like they were correct. It's okay to be wrong. I've been wrong many times.
Yeah.
And when you realize you're wrong, you could then move forward and progress in life. That's what it's all about.
I think he's got his flowers, though, bro. I think people have definitely, for the most part.
I've had some people turn around, like on Twitter and
yeah.
stuff, that message me, Instagram, like, man, I'm sorry for ever doubting you. You know, I was a hater, now I'm a fan. I'm like, welcome to the dark side.
How like was your mental headspace after the Sean fight? Because as we just talked about, so many people, they hate you, you're a clown, you fake, you're this, that, the third. You keep winning, then you lose, and you get finished in whatever second, third round, and people want to be like vindicated. Like fans want to feel like, we knew it, this and that. How do you deal with that, like from a mental standpoint?
I've been a competitor for so many years, and I'm a purist in the sense of, like, I like to see fair fights. I like to see fair competition. I like to see athletes at their best when they compete. Not to say this one had 2 of their 3 starting lineup out, and then this is the person that beat this. Like, I want to see the best of the best compete. No excuses. Now, enter O'Malley. He fights one ranked guy, gets a title shot. Split decision, albeit. And this is not me hating. This is just calling a spade a spade. He's supposed to fight me next, which would give me enough time to prepare. But instead, they say, Sayudo's coming back. We want you to fight him. In the back of their mind, they're like, whoever wins this, we're going to turn them around for August. So he knows all this. I'm pretty sure he knows all this. Yeah, and only O'Malley could disclose this, right? Or at least the UFC for sure knew that this is what they wanted to do. Give him the best opportunity that they could to become a world champion by hindering and stacking the deck against his opponent. Now, for me, as a competitor, like, I can never respect that as a man. As a competitor, it's just like it's like the Jake Paul route, stacking the deck so that you get these highlights or you get these favorable matchups and these wins to look as good as you do. People think I hate on Sean. I think Sean, I've been singing his praises since he got signed from Contender Series. If anyone has ever been more of a supporter, it has been me. Talking about him on my podcast, propping him up, giving him love anywhere I could. Also knowing that myself or Merab may fight him at some point because I just knew the kid was that damn good. Yeah. But I also knew he's also getting layups. I didn't get those opportunities. He's getting the Jake Paul approach. Take the fights that make the most sense. Guys past their prime. Guys who you could tee up. Guys that you're supposed to beat. You're faster than. You're stronger than. You're bigger than. And obviously, it's not that drastic for O'Malley. But when you get a guy who just went to a 5-round scrap with one of the best in Henry Cejudo at bantamweight, won the belt at 35, I think one of the best who's ever done it in terms of MMA. And then you try to turn the winner around in 3.5 months, knowing that I can't train for literally a whole month because my legs are that beat up from just bruising and swelling. So if the fans want to say O'Malley's that good, it has nothing to do with the punch that you threw. Like, I had a mental lapse because of, in my opinion, the break was so small that for you to be sharp like that, the way I normally am, don't make those type of mistakes, I think the turnaround hurt me. And that's all I can say about that. I don't take nothing away from the shot that Sean threw. He threw the shot. He set up the timing. He threw the long push kick. I ran into the shot. I threw the punch, and I froze. Normally, I move my head. I move. I weave. I shoot. I didn't do anything after that. So I can't knock any of that. All I can say is I was not in the best mental headspace to be competing that night, and the better man won that night. And that's all I got to say about it. But, again, for me, O'Malley could be a great champion, but for him to go on to fight the number 6 ranked guy in Cheeto and then put on a clinic, okay, great. But again, stacking the deck in favorable matchups for you to look and appear as you're him. He should have fought Merab first before fighting Cheeto, and Cheeto should have been able to fight someone and then win to prove he was deserving. Then now Umar beats Corey Sandhagen. So I just think it gets weird.
Yeah.
You could do this all day long, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just calling it how it is. You get an easier title defense against a guy you're clearly worlds better than.
Right.
Stylistically, the guy's not going to try to take you down. He can't take you down because he has no wrestling ability. And he's ranked 6. He didn't even deserve to be in it. He won a split decision over Pedro Munoz. And I'm not trying to kick him in while he's down from losing, but just calling it what it is. So that's my only thing. If you want to go the Jake Paul route and just pretend you're this guy that's this enigma of a fighter, okay, great. You still have skills, but don't tell me you beat the best guys at their best abilities because that's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
That's the only thing for me.
Yeah.
How's camp going for Merab?
I think Merab is a man on fire right now.
Yeah.
We worked yesterday, not me and him. Like, I got to watch him work after we sparred with Jeremy Kennedy. And the pacing that this guy brings is just phenomenal.
It's crazy.
And even during it, in between rounds, I'm like trying to give the guys that he's going with like feedback for them to do certain things that are very O'Malley-like.
Right.
Because I know how good O'Malley is. Again, like, even if he is getting these layup fights, it's still skill that we have to make sure we go out there to beat. Like, the hype is the hype, but the skill is something that we still need to overcome. So I'm making sure these guys giving him the right look so that he can properly prepare, see these things that Sean does that I know firsthand, and I'm giving him my tip. I'm like, bro, you could fight him the same way I did in the first round and not take any damage because O'Malley's not an offensive guy to go forward. He's a counter striker first. So I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
just we're gonna be prepared. So I'm very excited for that for Merab.
This is pretty quick coming up here.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
something like that.
Well, I mean, even like working weeks, you're like, shit, dude, this fight's around the corner.
Yeah.
You know, Zellhuber, Lazy Boy on the card as well.
Yeah.
Raul Rosas.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, this card is jamming.
Yeah.
Merab for the Mexican people.
And my favorite thing ever, bro. It's a love letter to the Mexican people, sponsored by Saudi Arabia, headlined by an American and a Georgian. It's like, yo, what are we doing, bro?
It. And like, for me, for him to win this would be such a huge thing for his country, and then even for us back home in Long Island, to have 4 world champions come out of our gym, our small gym,
huge
in Long Island, is such a like mind fuck.
Yeah,
because you just would never think Long Island is a small place where it's very expensive. Like, for people to come there and to do MMA in Long Island, it's not the easiest thing to do. Gym memberships, just living, the cost of living. It's just not the most ideal place to train if you want to have a real career, unless you have some support, like some real support financially. And for us to come out of there and then branch out, like I told him yesterday, I said, brother, look at us, man. We're living the fucking dream.
Right.
And now you got an opportunity of a lifetime to change your life forever.
For sure.
Mike, just think about how you started your career. Up and down on the regional, won a few on the regional. After retiring, he retired, came back, and said, no, this is what I want to do. I don't care if I win. I don't care if I lose. Rattles off, I think, 5 wins. Wins on the Dana White looking for a fight.
Yeah, knocked
beats
out my boy
Rafion
Rafion.
Stotts in like 16 seconds. Knocks out this fucking stud. Goes to the UFC, loses his first 2 fights. And now look at him. Wins every single fight after that. And here we are. This is like the cusp of like just the culmination of everything. And I told him, I was like, bro, everything you work for in a few weeks, we just have to be smart. We can't get emotional. We have to be dialed in.
Yeah.
And you will make your dreams a reality.
I love your guys' relationship, man. The brotherhood that you two have, and I wouldn't say
really
like
cool.
I don't want to say this disrespectful. Not like you're his coach or he's your coach, but the connection that you guys have very much feels like you both would coach each other in a lot of ways.
100%.
Help each other in a lot of ways. But I think that relationship is something that a lot of people should admire. Because they try to put you guys in a position to make each other fight. And it was like, we don't need to. We'll find other ways around this. And where a lot of people would have jumped at that money or we've seen that with Kobe and Masvidal and divide and conquer kind of routine, So I think what you guys have done as far as the friendship goes is great. But the training partners, how hard these dudes push each other in the room, man.
Yeah.
I try to be there for him as much as I can. And to be honest, we were never even offered the fight against each other. We just openly said that we won't fight each other.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
people took that as, you're holding up the division. I'm like, holding up what division? How?
Yeah.
There was never a fight offered. So how are we holding up the division? Merab just beat Aldo. If Aldo had won, they would have offered Aldo a chance to fight me.
Yep.
Merab won. The UFC didn't offer him a chance to fight me. They didn't say, do you want to fight your friend? They didn't say anything like that. They gave it to, who was it, Henry, who just came off the couch. And I'm just thinking, like, he could still do what he did. I'm like, all right, bro, times have changed. And the little pups are now the big pups of the dog pound now. So get in line.
We just got to keep him out of public for the next 3 weeks.
Who's that?
Merab.
Yeah, no
just
more
can't-
CJI.
I just saw that
can't
video.
put him in public.
Yeah, he tried to fight or went up to some heckler.
Nah, man,
and,
fuck these guys, bro.
I agree.
Like,
I'm with you.
some of these fans are so entitled to think they could just say whatever. Like, your words have consequences, bro.
Yeah.
They do. Whether you want to say it's right or wrong, they have consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go try doing that shit in another country and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in America. You can't do that. That's not illegal. Okay, fuck you. Let's
Yeah.
see what happens before the legal authorities get here.
Bro,
Let's see what happens.
We caught some dude in Boston. He was being a little lippy and
Really?
Stupid people, man. It's just
Yeah.
like, be respectful, bro. Like, even if you want to say what you want to say, there's a respectful way you could go about it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like some of these guys, they're looking for the attention.
Yeah,
they
they're
want
trying
that
to-
15 minutes of
They
fame.
want to
Right.
press that button.
Yeah.
You know?
Until they shit themselves.
Yeah. It's, man, I've made
Bro,
my
did you see
career.
that kid's face though?
Yes.
Because he didn't think Merab was going to make it over. He's still like, no.
Grabbed him by his hair,
Bro.
Oh, dude, that was awesome.
Bro, I almost want to. I was ready to strangle someone in Australia.
You were there?
I was going to the bathroom at the
Was that
meet and
wet
greet.
T-shirt contest?
No, not that
Oh,
one.
okay.
At the meet and greet, we had the meet and greet at the fights, and
Which fight was it? Sean's fight?
Sean, yeah, and then someone was like, "O'Malley slept ya. So I'm listening to this fucking retard. Excuse my French.
Trust tree. You're in the
Yeah.
nest.
So
You're
I
in the
went.
chest,
I went to the bathroom. This is not like mental, guys. Come on. And then I came back up, and then I was looking for this guy because I was like, all right, I don't remember where the fuck this guy's sitting at. I come back over, and I go, was that you? Was that you earlier? I was like, yeah. So he's over here getting lippy in front of his friends, so he's thinking it's cute. So now security's coming over. And I pretty much was telling him, you should be respectful when you come to these things because you never know what can actually happen to you.
Right.
So I was trying to get him to come to the bathroom.
Right.
Because I was going to fuck his world up, bro. I swear to all my life. It was like, you think I'm wrestling you? I'm going to I'm going to beat the piss out of you in this fucking bathroom right now. And then just disappear. Like fucking Clark Kent just gone. And security came over, so I did something similar like Merab. I didn't grab his hair though, because the security guard was right there. So they came over, like trying to back it up. But his friends got quiet. And he's the one doing no talking. So I got my hand on his neck.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You can get your hands off me." I was like, "Nah, I like my hands right here.
Yeah.
I like my hands right here. Like, you should take my hands off your neck and see what happens." Like that's what I was like. Let's see if you're really about that.
Yeah.
See if Amali's gonna help you sleep me right now.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna help you right now. Just me and you.
Yeah.
Oh, we were menaces in Australia, bro. The whole crew, the whole XC crew, menaces. Manel,
Yeah.
throwing fucking water bottles and monster cans at everybody. Just
that dude is
we
a
were
wild
out there.
card.
But then you'll get fans that will say, "Oh, you're being too sensitive." I'm like, "We're being sensitive. No, we're just holding you accountable for your words."
For your words.
Yeah, that's it.
Tell them about your wet T-shirt contest. Tell
Oh,
them.
that shit was terrible, bro.
Tell them, bro.
There's a
Tell 'em
bunch
what
of dudes.
Hold on. Hold on. Yo,
Take it to the
E,
candy
E,
shop.
this bar wants us to head down there, right? They want us to guest celeb a wet T-shirt contest. What do you think? You, me, Gaethje, a couple of the boys will roll out. I'm like, yeah. I mean, why not? Let's go. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a bunch of dudes. It was not great. It was not a good time.
Not the wet T-shirt contest we signed up for.
Yeah,
boys.
it almost felt like an hour of watching men just douse each other with water. It was just so
Was
confusing.
it a gay club or something?
No. There was girls. There was a girl wet T-shirt contest.
After.
Hey, man, it just wasn't what we expected.
And it took way too long to get started.
Well, there was a beer pong tournament that we almost won. I mean, granted, we're out there to fight a world title.
Sure.
But,
Having a good
Doesn't mean you
time.
don't have time for a wet T-shirt
you know
contest.
what I mean? So,
during
squeeze
fight
it
week.
in. And then Gaethje and myself and Aljo were just, which of these people don't belong here?
Oh man,
Good times.
It's going back to people not being held accountable. Like, I've made my whole career in like social and digital media, and I think it's a great tool, and it's done more good than bad. But fuck, man, has it made people way too comfortable saying shit they would
Way too
never say in
comfortable.
person?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot just talk to anybody any type of way, fighter or not. Like, any grown man or woman any type of way. It's actually insane.
Well, we had
And
this
I'm
one
surprised
guy.
you guys
He was kind of in like, I wouldn't say sports media, but he was trying to be.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy, but he would go on these Facebook or Twitter rants, but would attack guys that are in our gym. And it's like, bro, you're going to see these guys in the gym, and he would come to the gym, and then our guys would fucking slap the shit out of him,
As
and
they
he would
should.
like, oh, I'm gonna press charges, or I'm gonna this. I'm like, bro, you can't say the things you're gonna say. Show up to XC and not expect to get fucking lambasted by these guys. So here's how it all went down.
so stupid.
Here was it was a very famous manager, and he said something about this guy, and I go, here's the deal. Here's the cage right here. Human resources is open.
Yeah.
You can spar this man right now for the words that you said about him, or you can get the fuck out and never come back. And he's like, well, no, why would I do that? And I'm like, because what you said should have consequences. 5 minutes in the cage with him, or get the fuck out. And he fucking hightailed it out of there.
There's a way to express your opinions on a fighter. Oh, he should have done this, or I don't think he matches up well with this guy. All that stuff is free game. They're professional athletes. It's just like a commentator or analyst
there's nothing wrong with
saying
that.
something about a basketball player.
Of course.
But you can't attack people's character.
But there's
You know what I mean?
there's
It's
guys
insane.
that like Demetrius Johnson was talking to him about with Ariel about some of the holes that he saw in Francis's boxing game.
Oh yeah,
Right?
against
And
Joshua, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm listening. I'm going, yeah. And he goes, and Ariel was like, do you take offense to this? I'm like, why would I?
Yeah.
I go, what he's saying is
He's not saying Eric sucks as a coach.
put your ego
Francis
aside for a
sucks.
second.
Yeah.
And think about one of the best combat athletes ever is seeing a hole in a game. Like, you should look at that and go, okay, he's right. How do we get better in these areas, right? How do we capitalize on what he's saying he's putting his analyst hat on as one of the best to ever do it, right? But then you get the fucking dudes, right, that are just on their Twitter fingers with the fake profile picture that won't even put their own face on the thing.
Talking
The
mad
eggs.
shit.
The eggs.
Yeah, remember that? Remember they were eggs back
I
in
remember
the day.
Dana White one time when we were going through the
Looks like an egg.
negotiations, and I would just talk shit back to everybody, bro. I didn't care. You were getting it, and Dana would go. He tweeted one time. He goes, "Aljo, they're eggs. and pretty much was like, leave him to me. And I was like, respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Respect.
How would you say you guys' relationship is now? Like
You know,
post.
it's outside of the cameras and the media. I think we're good. Dana's, for me, he's always been a nice, respectable guy. But when it comes to business, I know I'm not his cash cow.
Yeah.
Right.
So if he could put someone else in the driver's seat to get his business to where he wants to be, he's going to do that. And I understand it. So I try not to take these things personal, even though part of me really does want to, because it still feels the same.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I can put the ego aside and understand the rationale behind it. It's like, you're not a bad person. You're just not great for the business. I'm like, okay, I get it. Even though that sucks. But
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't understand that though. Like I just don't get it.
I just think Dana, he wants to win at business. You know, like he's
But
the
they can
ultimate
make a star out
competitor.
of damn
Yeah.
near everyone.
Sure.
And you've seen.
They choose not to.
Huh? Exactly.
And I don't get that.
That's my point. Like I don't want to be disrespectful, but there are fighters that they have made stars that are not star power fighters
Right.
and are not that good.
Right.
You know, in terms of like I think Sean was saying like that upper echelon of fighters, like they're not in that 10%.
Who are you talking about?
You know, some, but you know, no, it reminds me of what they did to Woodley.
Yeah.
Woodley violently knocked out. First off, they gave him the first pay-per-view after UFC 200, which
Right.
was like 2.5 weeks later, and then came out and said he's not a pay-per-view draw. It's like, bro, people just spent all their money 2 weeks ago to watch
Yeah.
Silva and Cormier and
Right.
Nunes and Brock Lesnar and all these people. And then the co-main on that card was Rose Namajunas and Karolina Kovalkiewicz.
Right. They were
No
pushing
offense to
that.
them, but that's
Yeah.
not like you're not.
Yes.
That's not a co-main event, right? At that time,
Wait,
Rose
that's
is
not a
now.
blockbuster?
Huh?
That's not a blockbuster?
At that time, Rose.
No.
Hey, Rose probably draws some people now.
Yeah.
But,
Now, yeah.
But back then, no, and she lost that fight. Anyway, it just what happened with you. What happens with you and them reminds me of Woodley a lot. DJ, obviously, like you know, you can make a star out of anyone. You can make a star out of anyone. You three have something in common. I don't know if you
what
want
about Francis?
Yeah, bro. Can we talk? Hold on, but that really pisses me off. You saw the Izzy clip I sent you.
Yeah, I seen it,
That
bro.
dude, that's
They
such
erasing him.
bullshit. How can
Yeah.
you? They did it to Randy.
Yep.
How can you do that?
I actually
to
said that
someone
last night because DC was commenting about Randy Couture, you know,
On the broadcast?
On the broadcast, and
Yeah.
I looked at Annie. I was like, "No way!" He said
Yeah.
they said Randy's name. So you got to remember, this is we were in Bangor, Maine. Bangor, Maine. That's how long ago this was.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a chance to talk to Dana for half a second, and for a while there, they were not allowed to say fighting out of Extreme Couture. We couldn't have Extreme Couture on the banner.
Yeah.
It was that name was not even
Yeah.
mentioned. And I remember having an opportunity to speak to Dana, and I said, "Hey man, like you have to understand that Randy really has nothing to do with the gym. It has to do with like me trying to rebuild our gym, our team.
Right.
It's just with the Couture name, you know." And he was so respectful about the situation. He's like, "It's not really me, it's the Fertitta," whatever it was. But I just remember like that name was like absolutely blacklisted.
Yeah.
From the UFC,
Yeah.
you know, that's how bad they hated fucking Randy.
It's crazy, bro. Like they just and you know they lost in the Francis game. They lost.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean they lost like they're not going to make money or be. They're going to be incredibly successful for the rest of time.
Right.
But they lost that matchup.
What exactly
How does-
was that with the history that Izzy was saying?
Because at the ticket on sale press conference, someone asked about the bad blood and Drika saying they're not African, and Izzy was like, he tried to discredit the Three Kings. He's like, what Kamaru, Usman, Francis Ngannou, and myself did can never be discredited. And when they ran it in Countdown, it said, what Kamaru, Usman, and myself did can never be discredited. And then he had another line about Francis. They took that out too. And so that's why at the media day this past week, Izzy was like, we cannot erase history. We cannot act like this never happened.
Wow.
Yeah, bro,
Yeah.
they did it when the
shirt.
Cameroonian. No, well, we'll do the shirt in a second. But the Cameroonian guy that fought the Apex.
Yeah,
This was
first
like in
Cameroonian
March.
fighter.
It said this is the first Cameroonian fighter in UFC history. On the little ticker when you guys walk out and it says fighting out of this and that.
Fun facts.
No,
Yeah.
that's blasphemous.
And Francis not even the first one. He was the second one. It was the Suka. What's his name? Sukaju.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah.
They said this kid, I don't even remember his name, first Cameroonian fighter in UFC history. Then on Countdown, on Embedded, when Kamaru fought Chimaev, We did the Roots of Fight capsule drop with Francis's clothes, and he wore a Francis Ngannou Roots of Fight shirt, and they blurred out the entire episode. They blurred the front of it out. They kept and someone was like, oh, they don't want other branding on their show. They had the Roots of Fight logo on his shoulder, wide open, not blurred at all, but it was Francis Ngannou Cameroon blurred out the entire episode. So they've done this multiple times. But it's just petty, bro. It's just petty behavior. And like UFC will be successful no matter what because they're a great ran business, well run.
Yeah,
but to be so petty is crazy.
I agree with you, but to your point, I do think for the UFC to have missed out on the opportunity with Fedor and Brock, that could have been massive.
Yeah.
And an opportunity with
Fedor.
Randy Fedor, and now to miss the opportunity with John Jones and Francis Ngannou, like that says a lot. So for me, I think the UFC trying to, or I don't want to say Dana, I'm just gonna say the UFC, for the UFC trying to kind of go around the history and trying to remove that as if it never happened it is definitely petty because.
To their point, I mean, in their favor, though, that's why the brand is so strong.
Right.
Because they are so good
at
just
promoting the UFC.
Sweeping it under the rug.
Sure.
You know what matters? UFC.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Funkmaster doesn't matter. Last Stylebender doesn't matter. O'Malley, none of those people matter. That brand matters, and they're so good at sweeping it under the rug. That's why the brand's so strong.
But to your point,
say what you want to say, though. By the way,
to your point. Even though they have that, right? They have the power to do that because they're so powerful in just promoting the three letters, UFC. But then what is the point of us? Like, what is the point of an O'Malley? What is the point of a McGregor? Like, if you're never going to help someone get to that platform, that point, so it's just like, well, we might as well just keep taking guys in from the contenders, and once someone from the top loses, just cut them.
That's what they do.
Knock on wood. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't you dare.
But that's what they do. I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Because I just saw something the other day, like 40% of the roster is from Contender Series. And they act like that's because the Contender Series guys are good. And no disrespect. They're all good fighters. But it's not because they're good. It's because it's the cheaper option.
100%.
The top 10%, the Aljos, the Izzies, those guys, that's this much of the bankroll. But 60% of the roster is only this much of the bankroll, or whatever. 40% of the roster is only this. So from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to have a lot of Contender Series guys. I remember, I'm just giving all the secrets away now, but I remember at one point during season 2 or 3 of Contender, whatever the last season I worked, they were like, and I won't name names, you could probably guess, but they were like, we got to stop giving out contracts. We have no more roster spots. Like, we have to stop saying you get a like Oprah and you get a contract and you get a contract. We have to stop that because we have no more roster spots. But the reason they were doing it, because strategically and financially, it makes a lot of sense to have 40% of your roster make up 10% of your bankroll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway,
budget-wise.
Anyone with a brain, any rational fan could understand that, but there's not a lot of rational people in the world that can understand that. So, but here's my thing. Because the letters are so powerful, you end up getting you get more of a watered-down product. And I hate to say it.
But it's true.
But the competition isn't what I just don't feel the competition is what it used to be. And I'm a diehard UFC fan. I want the UFC to still be at the top. But you can't have the best product if you're bringing in all these lower-level guys and you're not giving people the opportunity to build, develop, and get to a place where they could build a name, become an O'Malley, become the one kid who just fought this weekend, Carlos Pratt, who's really good.
Yeah, really
I think
good.
they have a superstar on their hands with 100%. That kid.
But I think that's their
those
mentality
veneers are spectacular.
They're casting a wide net when it comes to Contender Series and hoping that they get another O'Malley out of that situation.
But for every one of those, there's 27 guys that are just.
But remember, like you said, to your point, they're signing them on 4-fight deals.
Yeah.
They might cut you after 2. They might need you for a certain situation on a short notice fight. They already offered Mansour a fight.
Yeah.
Right. Like they have quick turnarounds. They're gonna move these guys.
We just need you to be a highlight reel for us.
Can I give you my analogy on this whole thing?
Yeah.
Born and raised in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like when you sit down at the blackjack table. You're expecting to probably lose the long game.
Nah.
Right? I mean,
Win, baby.
I'm saying,
No, I'm
but
joking.
my point to you
Yeah.
is you gain a respect level
Yeah.
when you understand who holds all the cards. You gain a respect level to know, look, can I win some money while I sit at this blackjack table? Absolutely. Can I lose my ass off? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
But when you sit down at the table, my point to you is you have to understand who holds all the cards. And that's always going to be the UFC.
100%.
So don't get mad when the casino is going to win the long game. You chose to sit down at the fucking blackjack table to begin with, right? Dude, what Dana did during the pandemic, I sent him a text, dude, thank you for allowing me to provide for my fucking family during this time, right? No one is working.
Yeah.
No one but us,
Yep.
right? Like, so he's done things, I think, that need to be shined, right? We're not here trying to lambaste the UFC by any means. We're just talking about this as a whole.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But my point is when you sit down at the blackjack table, don't expect to win the casino.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to fucking happen.
Agree.
Right?
Agree. Yeah. No, what they've done is
Phenomenal.
incredible.
Right.
Their business is incredible. And what he did during COVID, amazing.
Yeah.
It took them into an entirely different stratosphere.
100%.
All I'm saying is I'm just trying to give you the perspective of why they do what they do from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
And why fighters will never, ever, until something changes.
They're the casino.
Yeah, but yes, of course. But again, to get on that level of a playing field of the NBA or NFL or whatever, something will have to change.
Sure.
UFC will never want that to happen because they're the casino and they hold all the
100%.
cards. So I get that. I'm just trying to
100%.
give both vantage points and be just as realistic as possible.
On that.
I would say, though, I never understood why they were so it feels like they're so against like one of the fighters branching out and becoming big. Because I feel if you're still with the company, people are tuning in to see you, but they're tuning in to see you on the UFC platform no matter what. So at the end, on the back end, like I get the long-term play, like you promote the UFC because that's longevity. But you do need to invest in a couple of different people where you're like, maybe these couple of guys, I think they could do a little bit of a better job doing that.
Right.
Where they handpick the few that they think can get to a position like a Paddy Pimblett.
Right.
I think it's kind of obvious that they're trying to push him. They gave him the one guy ranked in the top 15 that they think matches up well with Paddy Pimblett, grappling-wise, right? And he went out there, he won.
Yeah.
Now you have an opportunity, another stepping stone to build this guy to possibly challenging for a title.
Sure.
Not right now, of course. But you need that, right? You need to eventually keep building these guys up at some point. And I just never really understood why they don't build up a little bit more of the athletes. Because, one, it's life-changing for the athletes and their families, which is what the UFC, for me, has given me a great opportunity to change my life, my family's life, and hopefully do all the right investments. I'm set for life. Even now, like, I'm good. But I'm choosing to still compete. But to give that opportunity to more athletes, I know this is not a charity. The UFC is not a charity. It's a business.
Sure.
So, but I do think they still have the positioning where they could kind of do both, where I think it gives them a little bit more leverage and the favoritism with the athletes. Because there's some athletes that we have where I have to constantly talk to them and remind them, like you said, you're at the blackjack table. They don't owe us dick, bro. They don't owe us nothing. So at the end of the day, focus on you, focus on what you can control, and make the most out of it. Because when the door closes, that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else left for you to take off the table. Like, get all your scraps while you can and make the most out of these opportunities, because that's all we can do as the athletes.
I mean, you nailed that part. I mean, I've been in the sport for 17 years now, so I've seen the guys that have long since been retired, you know, the Martin Campmans of the world, who had to utilize that opportunity that they had at the moment, right? Because when he retired, it wasn't by choice. He had to retire because he had concussions, you know, but you got to put that money away. You got to take care of yourself when you have the opportunity to do so. And I think that's what a lot of these young guys need to hear. It's like when you're in it, you know, love signing the posters, because it might be your last time signing those posters, you know. It's a big deal.
It's rough, man.
Yeah.
It's a reality.
Yeah.
How you enjoying this move up to featherweight?
Oh, it's night and day.
Yeah.
It's night and day. Like Kennedy was telling me he was 68, even though I think he was closer to like 70, 72.
Kennedy lying, bro. 76.
It was like, 68 today. I told Ige, he was like, yeah, she's probably not 70. He's
Yeah.
probably not 68.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I kind of felt like he was a little bit on the heavier side, but it is what it is. We still had some great rounds. But just to know that I've been walking around this weight for so long, and now I'm finally at the weight class I probably should have been at years ago.
Yeah.
It's nice, So I'm not
But
killing
I mean,
myself
like,
as much.
like for the viewers, like Aljo's always sparred all of our featherweights. Like very rarely, like, maybe a couple bantamweights, like, but I mean,
just Merab, really.
and then Stamen's a big bantamweight himself,
Yeah.
So, but in the room, like he's always sparred Kai, Ige. Kai Kamaka was our TJ Dillashaw a lot that camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's always fit that featherweight frame, and by no surprise, competing in that division now.
Yeah.
I always thought I was so small for featherweight. And then when I asked all these guys what they weighed, and then I did the UFC testing at the PI,
Yeah.
and I saw my fat-free mass, it was like, I think it was a 142 or 141 and a half. I'm like, dude, so you're telling me for the past 5X amount of years plus, I've been just killing myself to get to 135, 136. That's just insane.
Yeah.
Which is, so it's just pretty much removing all the fat and the water from your body. That's how much I would weigh with everything gone, which is not realistic because you need some fat on your body. So I was just mentally just killing myself to get down, physically as well. And I'm just glad I was even able to perform.
Were you surprised how the Cater fight went by any means?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, in my mind, if I had got my ass kicked by Cater, I was retiring.
Really?
That was my final. I was like, yep, UFC 300. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I tried my best. It didn't work out. Thanks for the cheese. Conor
Bro.
McGregor, smell you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Cater's a fucking dog, dude.
I thought that was a tough matchup for you
Yeah.
to make your 45 debut in, and I thought you were super impressive in
So,
that fight.
speaking of fans that are just kind of disrespectful, I had like an international guy at the combat karate guy come up to me. It's like, yo, your fight with Calvin Kattar, bro, we all thought you were going to lose that. We all thought you were going to lose that. Like, I'm like, damn, can you be any more direct, bro? Yo, what's
Yeah.
that?
That Sean Strickland of him.
Like, what the hell?
that
I was like,
honesty.
Yeah.
I thought it was a tough fight too. And then who are you fighting next? Movsar. Bro, why are you fighting this guy? You're a former champion. You can fight anybody. Why? This guy's a monster. Everyone talks about his condition.
Yeah.
So he's saying all this stuff to me. I'm like, yeah, that's why we're not the same.
Right.
And literally what
Yeah,
I'm telling
there you
him.
go.
But he keeps
There you
going
go.
on and on. He's like, you could fight anyone else that you could take down. I was like, yeah, Movsar's good. I
They're-
think
in
I'm
their
pretty good
head-
too.
In their head, they're talking to you as if they're on Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is so weird.
Like
Yeah.
the human to human interaction like just goes right over their head. They're just
Yeah.
talking to you as if like you're this like mythical figure
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
can just tell anything to. You know what I mean?
So
like,
this was at the face-offs. So the next day, his guy ends up losing, and then I go on like maybe one or two matches after the grappling match. I win in overtime. His
Yeah.
guy loses in a weird thing because the guy could have combat karate is very odd with like TKOs.
Yeah.
Because I thought they like when you're on the ground they stand them back up, but it was a weird sequence. Could have probably kept going.
By the way, it had me sweating.
Yeah. So I didn't.
I'm allowed to bet on that, right?
yeah.
I didn't know I was getting points taken away. I didn't know I gave away a point on a takedown in overtime, and like I just hustled and got the win, got the mount, passed the guard, and got the back control.
Right.
So then I see the guys afterwards, and I know in the back of his mind he's probably thinking of something to say, but
Right.
I'm like, I hope that showed you like I went against a guy 10 pounds heavier than me
Yeah.
in a different weight class. I beat him in overtime, and I showed what it is mentally when you dial in and you just don't give a fuck what no one says. So
Yeah.
you can have your opinion,
Yeah.
but everyone has them, and they don't always smell great. You're a steak,
I'm
bro.
curious on what Mozart's approach is going to be versus you, bro.
I was
like,
just gonna
like,
ask.
are you going to grapple heavy Aljo? Like, I really want to know what they're going to come with.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited for
Yeah,
that fight.
from a stylistic standpoint, what is your kind of thoughts on the matchup? If you put your analyst hat on and take yourself out for a second, like
We both have some very unorthodox striking. I think mine might be a little bit more unorthodox than his. He has a really deceiving jab, and he does a good job of striking while going backwards, which is what he dropped Arnold Allen with in the second round. When he gets to wrestling positions, he doesn't really do much with it unless he's in the full guard where he can just do that body head. He's willing to go there and open up in those positions. He leaves himself vulnerable for some submission attacks. And I don't think he moves laterally very well. So it's going to be a very interesting fight from just all those physical standpoints. What he's done well in his past few fights, same thing with me. I watched this fight with Barzola again. I I was like, man, after watching this guy, I feel like he actually lost this. He almost got submitted by Mike Grundy, who I just competed with last year, September. Not just,
I remember that fight.
Which was my first time, like, okay, I'm committed to going up to 45.
Right.
I was on a bender just drinking the whole time from Australia, Bali, and now I'm in Wales. They asked me to do this match. I'm like, fuck it. This will pay for the vacation.
Yeah.
And I realized how strong of a guy this guy was.
Yeah.
Like, when he grabbed me, I was like,
Grundy, yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't know if you want some gear or not. I'm like, I like to think I'm strong, but he snapped me down to my face.
Yeah, dude's big.
And I love doing that to people. But he snapped me down to my face. I'm like, bro, the fact that you were able to do that to me, it's impressive. I know I was like heavy on my front foot, but that was crazy.
Yeah.
So watching that fight again with him and Movsar, almost submitted him the first round. I think he shot his load, but he took down Movsar like probably like 6 times.
He did, yes.
Yeah. So I'm still going through the tape just to find different things.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great matchup. I think it's going to be a grappler's delight. Or we're going to have a Usman versus Kobe Covington 1.
Kickboxing match.
Just a straight up grappler's kickboxing
I'm curious
match.
to see like the in Salt Lake. You know, I'm
With
curious.
the altitude, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that.
That's,
you know?
I'm not that part. Honestly, I'm not looking forward to that
Yeah.
altitude. But
How
it
do you
is what it
train?
is.
Like, because I've seen some people go out there 2 weeks early. Some people sleep in a altitude tent or something like that. Do you have like a way that you plan on training for the altitude?
Well, we're 2,000 feet here in Vegas. Salt Lake, I believe they said is 4,300. He's training in ATT, which is sea level.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
level.
So I like to think I have somewhat of a leg up in that regards. And I'm going to go out there a little bit early, not like 3 weeks like I did for Denver, maybe like 10 days.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, just to get a little bit acclimated, open up the lungs a little bit.
Go to Park City.
Yeah, and then Merab fought Jose Aldo there, and he did all his training camp here in Vegas, and he was more than fine.
Really?
Yeah, so I know people say don't compare your gas tank to his, but when Merab and I are training, especially when we were both at 35, we would go neck and neck. It was just always when I cut down to 35, that last bit of juice just got zapped out of me.
What do you make of the landscape at 145? Because it feels like fresh blood is needed because it's been like Max and Alex. You know what I mean? For
and
so
Holloway.
long. Yeah,
Max.
Topuria,
and
though,
Volk.
now is like, the champion and came up, but like, with a win over Evloev or whatever, like, is that title shot? Like, how do you think of the 45 landscape?
So Evloev about 2 weeks ago was ranked number 5. Now he's 6. Arnold Allen, after beating Giga Chikadze, moved up to 5.
Who beat?
And Evloev beat
And
Arnold
yeah,
Allen.
so I'm just like, make it make sense, guys.
Right.
Just make it make a little bit of sense here.
But you seen Khalil Roundtree just get a title fight. So the rankings really
It don't fucking matter.
Don't matter. I mean, honestly, it's what you've done.
We'll get back to 45 in a second. Am I crazy that I think Khalil has a chance in that fight?
Not at all.
Like,
Not at all.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'm going to say a fight of the style I think Khalil needs to fight to beat Alex.
Sure.
The Eric Anders fight.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're talking about two different Eric Anders and
No, I know, but like that
the
Thai
Muay
style.
Thai, yes, 100%.
I think that's how he needs
break
to fight.
the legs down, and that's what.
No, I'm not
Izzy-
comparing Eric Anders to,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Alex
but
Pereira.
I love you, Eric.
Yeah,
I love
sorry.
you.
But,
But no, I get you.
Yeah.
Yes, break the legs down, and we saw Izzy have success against Alex Pereira with the leg kicks, 100%. But that was a Khalil Roundtree in that fight was like dialed in.
Yeah.
And he has been in his last 4 or 5 fights.
That's
He's
the
looked
thing
amazing.
with Khalil is like the mental. Because if
Sure.
he's dialed in, he seems like
A
I mean he
fucking
looks
killer,
yeah
bro.
he looks like a killer. But there's some fights where you see him go in there and like visibly
And
from an
sometimes
outsider's
guys just
perspective-
need that opportunity. Like Jamal Hill, he had an opportunity to fight Glover, and he won. Like get that opportunity, that moment when it happens, go take advantage of it, man. So no, I'm with you. I think it's a very interesting style of fight. It really is.
And I love betting dudes that people think have literally less than 0% chance, like Ereceg and Pantoja type style.
Right.
Like who's Steve Carell gonna?
Well,
he's not gonna be champion.
You look at
like,
the guys in the 205-pound division,
Yeah.
and it just takes one.
Yeah.
It just takes one, and the guy that can deliver that is Khalil Roundtree.
I'm not saying he's gonna win, but that's
Yeah,
an
I mean,
interesting.
no, it's a very interesting fight, 100%.
What do you?
No, I was gonna say they don't want Ankalaev anywhere near that belt.
Yo, at all.
bro.
They don't want
Oh.
him anywhere near that belt.
Nikolai is a fucking monster.
And I
dude.
feel for him. 'Cause I'm like, dude, I was in your shoes before,
Yeah.
and I know exactly what that
Yeah.
cold shoulder
He
feels
is
like,
a
bro.
monster.
Here's a blanket.
Yep.
bro.
I remember Francis training for the Stipe rematch. Bro, Ankalaev would give him some rounds, bro.
Fuck
They would
yeah, he
go
would.
back and forth
Yeah.
and back and forth. And, yeah, that dude is a monster. I mean, he
Yeah.
would take Francis down, keep him down, then Francis would, like, reverse him. And there was one session where I remember Francis, like, got the better of him. And I know there's a big weight discrepancy,
Yeah.
but, like, Francis is not a wrestler. And Ankalaev is clearly, like,
Dagestani.
and Francis, like, got the better of him. And I was like, oh, okay, he's ready. He's ready for Stipe.
And
He's ready for
Ankalaev
that
helped
fight.
us a ton for the
Yeah.
Alex Pereira fight with Sean Strickland. But Sean did
Which
zero
Sean
wrestling.
did zero
you know,
wrestling.
But Ankalaev, man, like, he's a fucking beast, man.
Yeah, they don't want – and I think Pereira's good. Like, I'm not
Again,
I'm not
it's
saying,
styles.
but he's
Styles that
been
make the matchup.
protected from Ankalaev for sure.
Yeah,
like
stylistically.
for sure.
Eventually,
So you feeling rejuvenated at
Yeah.
45?
oh, 100%.
Back to
Yeah.
45. Yeah.
So
It's just like I'm on the tail end of my career, right? I'm
you're
35.
getting old, dude. You look old.
I got gray hairs in my beard and shit. I'm just like, get that out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would think like if I have a great fight with Movsar, 'cause I know they're doing that. The Spirit Diego Lopez, they rebooked him and Ortega. So I think it's a four-headed race right now. Whoever looks the best, or maybe a title eliminator, because I would imagine whoever wins between Topuria and Max is fighting Volkanovski next. Whenever Volk comes back, right? So in that sense, I'm like, man, I'm not stressing right now. Like, the UFC is going to do what the UFC does, and maybe if they say, hey, here's an opportunity, I'm taking that shit, you know?
Yeah.
But I got to do my job first on October 5th in Salt Lake City and see what
I
happens.
think Volk is always going to be that wild card because of the resume and what he's done in the, like, you know, he's a guy that should get an immediate rematch at some point, right? It's not an immediate rematch because you have Topuria and Max fighting, but he's always going to be that guy. Just, hey, you can plug him in a title fight.
Just say you need more time, Vogue.
Yeah.
For us. For us.
Just chill.
I thought, you know, speaking of people that looked old, like Izzy, you said looked old in that fight. I thought Volk looked old in that Topuria fight. I think it just like, A, he came back too quick, I think, from the knockout.
Yeah.
And B, he kind of just looked a little like stuck in the mud.
I honestly, I didn't. I think
Really?
Volk won round one.
Yeah, I thought he looked good round one.
I thought he did all the right things in that round. I think just I don't know. I thought he did what he needed to do in that moment, and sometimes things happen. But Volkanovski to me has always looked better and better and better every fight out. Like, he's always looked good. I think fighting Islam on short notice and then getting fucking head kicked probably wasn't the best idea to take that next fight as close as
And then having your head pinned with his knee and getting punched
man.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Not great.
And on
damage.
top, he had like
Yeah.
some hammer fist on
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
Yep.
That Max Topuria fight, you have any early thoughts on that? Because I can't wait for that
Well,
fight.
here's my thought. Topuria, we all know he is a savage. The guy can crack, right? But he struggled with Volkanovski in the first round. And if Volk stuck to his P's and Q's, just doing what he was doing that helped him win the first round, long jab, inside leg kick, use your footwork, have Topuria swinging at you and missing, or just barely grazing you but getting out of the way and landing the better shots. He was starting to wear it a little bit on his face, his eye, his nose, busting him up. And then he tries to exchange with Topuria on the cage and gets knocked out.
Yeah.
So with that said, enter Max Holloway. Great footwork, high guard, long punches. He has a shorter reach than Volkanovski, but his footwork is what helps him so much in his fights, and he's got great durability. So if he gets back to his kicking game and he stays on his range, Topuria I think is 5'6", maybe 5'7". I stood next to him. I think I'm taller than him if I remember correctly, or we're the same height. I'm 5'7". Max has a shorter reach for a guy at 45. I think it's like 67, 68. I'm 71. So you look at that. You look at Topuria. Topuria's got great grappling, but Max has great takedown defense. If Max could stay on his bike and touch him from the outside, it would be very interesting to see what happens in the later round, because we haven't seen Topuria like exhausted, tired yet. In round 5 with Josh Emmett, he was in the driver's seat the whole time. But what happens if you could set a little fatigue in him having some failed takedown attempts, or even if he gets the takedowns and Max can get back up, it makes the fight very interesting where he starts to use up a lot more energy than expected.
Yeah, that volume of Max, that pressure, constant pressure.
Because he's always in your face, those spinning back kicks. If Max gets back to the old school Max, it's a very intriguing fight.
And Max is that like the in a way of MMA to me. The way he rolls with his punches, the way that he's able to counter within. dude, the guy doesn't really get squared up and hit hard, right? And I think that's what Topuria is really predicated on is squaring guys up, liver shot to overhand and everything else. Max does such a great job of just rolling with those punches, but building the counter within the defense. He's hitting you off those strikes, So it's an interesting fight to me too, man.
They're both so good, but when you think championship caliber fight, is those two guys
100%.
stylistically, not DDP.
Poor DDP.
Yeah, just out here catching strays at 145.
strays.
But I am saying, like, for DDP, it does work though.
Yeah.
But at 45, you can't get away with doing no bullshit like that.
Right.
It's just not the same weight class. You just can't.
Guys are too quick too. Like
Yeah.
all those weight classes down too.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. Like I think about like the Jai Herbert fight. Topuria had trouble with him too.
Yeah.
Until,
He caught him with a
him out of
nasty
there.
left head kick.
Yeah. Just long rangey guys though. I'm thinking, and Volk has that long reach, like you
That's
said.
that's a good blueprint to add some things too, right? Is to glue that right hand. So left head kick glues the right hand, keeps one of his best weapons at bay.
Yeah.
You're going to kick that left hand or use that left kick to kick the right hand and try to keep it occupied, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what Max walks around at. He's a big dude.
Big dude,
I
bro.
think like 75, he said.
Big dude,
Really?
man.
Yeah.
He has to be lighter than he was back
EK went out and
before.
sparred him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Dan,
he just
Dan
told-
was
he
out
told
there.
me.
He's like, bro, that
Say, man, he's
motherfucker-
so fucking good.
so fucking good, bro. There's just levels of this shit, and Max is that 0.001% of that level. You know,
Yeah.
he's great.
Damn, I can't wait.
Speaking
for that
of,
fight.
when are you leaving for PFL?
I leave Tuesday for Kai.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Jeremy left already, right? Or
Jeremy
it was
leaves
Monday or Sunday?
Did he leave
Today?
today? Yeah, he left today.
So I'm trying to think who I'm going to spar this week. Get some work in.
Old Danimal.
Maybe it'd be nice to probably get some like lower level guys for me to build some,
Confidence.
not confidence,
Some cardio.
some like just a routine of certain things that I want to build off of. Like, it's not easy setting up certain techniques
Sure.
Yeah.
and combos that you're like traps that you're working on with the high level guys all the time.
Yeah.
Like you might get away with one. There was
Yeah.
one sequence in the last sparring that I was able to get off one on Jeremy. I was like, oh, that was cool. I was like, but I know I could probably get more repetition in real time with probably a lower level guy. So I'm just trying to think who I can get some rounds in with on Thursday.
Well, I'm not going to say anybody's name because you're saying lower level. So
No, well,
I'm just kidding.
lower level in the sense of
I
like
know what you mean. I know what
Jeremy's very experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe lower level is not the correct term. Sorry, guys.
Less experienced. Maybe.
Yes.
you mean. Yeah, I'll tell you who though like is a dog that's going to give you that work is Kobe as far as the wrestling goes.
Man, you sing his praises a lot. He
He's
must
a good
be really,
kid, man.
really
He's
good.
a really. I just want to
Yeah.
see him compete more.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see him fight more. But like in the room, Kobe is a fucking monster, bro. He's tough. He's
How
tough.
speaking of Kai, how's he looking? How's he feeling? And how's everything going for that fight?
I mean, I hate to sound cliche, but he's looked the best I've ever seen him, and I think it's not the physical attributes. Kai's always had the physical attributes. I think it's more about his mental space right now. And here's something interesting that he said to me. He's like, I deserve this, right? And I think there's a part of an athlete that's like, I don't know, and maybe I deserve. You know, it's like, no, I've earned this right to be where I'm at right now. I've won 6 in a row. 5 or 6 in a row. I'm not, but he's a win away from fighting for the title. And I say title, yes, there's $1 million purse that comes behind that.
Yeah.
But it's about winning the belt, bro. Yeah. It's about, him getting not re-signed by the UFC and told he wasn't good enough or you're not exciting enough and everything else. So he's got a huge chip on his shoulder. And we got Brendan Loughnane, man. This guy's legit. He's a real deal. We're not fighting the name, right? We're fighting the person in front of us, and don't get like caught up on the main event and the billboard. And this guy's a former champ. Like, fight the guy in front of you. And when Kai's on his game, he's one of the best in the world. I truly believe that.
Has he been sparring, or have you found a lot? Because Loughnane's like long, tall,
Sure.
lanky, 45.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah,
we sparred Jeremy a lot. Cody Stamen is not the long, tall guy, but Cody Stamen is always going to give a good look. And Cody will study that opponent for you and give you the look that you need.
Yeah.
Cody's such a great teammate, man. I think people don't understand how important it is that guys at the highest level that are in the UFC, that ranked or are ranked or contenders, that are willing to give you those rounds. Like, that's the importance of what we have as a gym and as a team.
Yeah.
Without those individuals, we're not able to go out and perform the way that we do. because there's that ecosystem we talk about. Each guy is willing to put a little bit into the pot because they know at the end of the day that they're going to get that same look from those guys. So like our Wednesday practice that we do at 10 a.m. is the meeting of the minds. It really is like the best in the world of guys that are working on something in common that we know we're all going to be able to take from somewhere down the line. Yes, Kai's fighting right now. He's the next guy up. So we'll sit and go, hey, what do you need, Kai, or what can we get for you? But it's like you're going to take from that. Dan's going to take from that. The guys in the room are going to take from that. So, yeah, man, it's great to have the team that we have and the guys that, you know, especially him moving up to 45, right? That room of 45ers, some fucking killers, bro.
Yeah. It's so crazy that like guys like Cody Stamann, they don't get that like respect from the fans, right? And that like never maybe been a champion or a challenge for a belt, but it reminds me of like what's the NBA, like the 15th guy theory, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the last guy on the bench, or Thanasis, Giannis's brother. They make memes about him. They got like Twitter goes on fire with that guy.
Yeah.
But that dude will walk into any local gym and beat everyone in that gym 15-0 in 10 games in a row. And it's like, you know, you forget how like high level these guys are. Maybe they never were a champion. Maybe they never challenged for a belt, but they're still like
there's guys in the room that
high level.
Are 2-2 pros that really are the meat and potatoes of what makes our gym successful. Right. That we need those guys. You know, there's guys that were sparring Francis, you know, that had no business sparring Francis. They have a piece of that world title. You know, a part of that should go to them because of the hard work that they put in and giving us those looks that we need.
Yeah.
Who is that you said?
Thanasis, you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks basketball player, Giannis.
Okay. I thought you were talking MMA.
No. I was saying, I was talking MMA. Like Cody Stamann is someone who never challenged for a belt.
Well, Thanasis does the video as well, so I thought you were talking about him.
What video?
He does video work for like embedded.
No. Oh,
so that's why I was like, wait,
yes,
Thanasis has a brother that does MMA. I'm like, what? Since when?
Yeah. You're talking about the video guy.
Yeah.
Shout out Thanasis. No. Thanasis, Giannis's brother, the NBA guy.
Yeah. Okay. No,
that's funny. I was looking. He was like, looked so confused. I was like, what's so confusing?
Thanasis? He's got a brother that's a savage like that.
Before we get out of here, tell us a little bit about Funk Harbor. Like, why did you decide to get into the spirit business? What's going on with that?
Well, this is always something I want to do. It's more of a passion project of mine. Family's from Jamaica. My grandparents, they grew up in like the dry harbor mountains of Jamaica. So that's where harbor comes from. Funk, obviously, Jamaican funk. We kind of have like, that's kind of like the note that is kind of compared with that people would use to describe Jamaican rum. And something I've always wanted to do for a very long time. Despite McGregor doing it, whenever it was that he did it, it's always something I wanted to do. I didn't want to do tequila, didn't want to do bourbon. I wanted to do something more unique and genuine to me and my family. And
that's dope.
And I obviously like to drink. So I've been drinking since college, probably a little before that, but, you know, you guys don't need to know.
Yeah.
So this was always something I was like, you know what, why not use this opportunity and have something that I could actually take advantage of, you know, and share a little bit of the Jamaican flavor. So with this Funk Harbor, it's a premium rum. We have 3 different distilleries that we use straight out of Jamaica, and it's aged 2 to 5 years. So it's a premium blend, 44% proof. So I think everyone's going to enjoy this. We'll have the white rum coming out for Christmas.
Okay.
And I think that one's going to be a little bit of an easier drink. In the sense of it's not going to be like white overproof like Ray and Nephew, which is like 63%. So if you want something to put you on your ass, get some Ray and Nephew.
Put some hair on your chest.
Yeah. But this is going to be a nice one. It's going to beat out a lot of the competition in terms of taste and, of course, the value for your money. We're right now retailing it for the premium, $60 online at funkharborrum.shop. And then the white rum is going to be closer to like $20-25 for a much easier drink. And if you don't like bourbon or cognac, it drinks like a bourbon. So the one right now, I think they're really going to enjoy this one that's out on the market. And so far, we're doing good with the sales. So this is a limited run. So make sure you get yours before it's all out. And then we'll probably have to make another one maybe like 3 or 4 years where we have the time period to create another batch.
That's dope. I've never seen that done in spirits before, where you do like almost like a capsule drop of like rum. That's super cool.
But the white rum will be the one that's going to be like
available
all the time. And then we have like a lightly aged that's more Caribbean, not just Jamaican.
Yeah.
And that one's going to be blends from different Caribbean coaches as well.
That's
So
dope. Okay.
be nice.
What's the website again?
PhoneCallButRum.shop.
.shop. Awesome. Appreciate you doing the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, that does it for another episode of Verse Us with Eric Nixick. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment below. Let us know who you want to see on the show. Let us know any questions you have for the show. Also, make sure you listen anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, all of it. And make sure you follow the show on social media at VSUSPod on all social media. For Eric and Aljo, I'm Randy. See you guys next time. I hit your mic, my bad.
Yeah, me too.